Tonight, advanced polling is now open ahead of the October 21st federal election.
I was a bit worried that maybe I wouldn't be here for the day of, so I voted ahead just to make sure that it was done.
We asked voters how they made up their minds ahead of the official election day. Plus,
they look much better, they're smiling more, and they're feeling the support and the love of the community.
back in business. A popular Syrian restaurant opens its doors again after an emotional week of shutting down due to death threats. And Latin dancers from across the world are in Toronto this weekend. We meet a few Canadians making a mark in the salsa scene. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. With just over a week left in the race, some Canadians have already cast their ballot. Many here in the city will get a head start this weekend, doubling down on their party, committing their vote before Election Day. Advance voting is on until Thanksgiving Monday. We asked voters who chose to cast their ballots early why. Ali Chiasson has that story.
Whether you're out of town on Election Day or just can't wait to have your say, now's your chance. Advance voting is an option all weekend long.
I will advise to every Canadian who has the ability to vote not to sit back, but to give his vote.
Shuaib Abdi's got a lot on his mind when he casts his vote.
The environment with the creation of new jobs for Canadians, tax cut for the middle class.
Some people have other motivations.
Because I think it's important, and I also don't like the Prime Minister that we now have. Growl, growl.
So why do you choose to cast your vote in advance?
Just because I already know who I'm going to vote for, and I figure I might as well just do it.
I was a bit worried that maybe I wouldn't be here for the day of, so I voted ahead just to make sure that it was done and taken care of, and my ballot is cast and it's all good now.
U of T professor Nelson Wiseman is an expert in voter behavior and says advance polling has grown in popularity, but doesn't think it's going to make a huge difference in overall voter turnout, at least not this time around.
Because in the last election, there was a much stronger appetite for change. The Harper government had been in power for 9.5 years, so a lot of people wanted a change. There's an appetite for that among a lot of people this time. It's not as strong. Middle-aged to older voters are more likely to go to advance polls, and younger voters are not. Younger voters are more likely to show up on election day, and often at the last minute.
For some, this opportunity couldn't come soon enough.
Luckily, I just became a Canadian citizen yesterday. And originally, I'm from Afghanistan. I just came from Afghanistan almost like 6 years ago.
Humay Safi has been following the election closely.
I just watched the English debate a few days ago. And all of the leaders, they were just blaming each other.
LGBT Canadians, millions years ago. Canadians.
But even the political bickering can't drown out his excitement to seize his newly bestowed right to vote.
So this is a lifetime experience for me.
Advance polling stations are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all weekend until Monday. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
If you're traveling around the city for Turkey this weekend, we should warn you, getting there may not be easy in some areas. Highway and subway closures gobbling up some travel time. Starting tonight, the Gardiner Expressway will be completely shut down until Monday morning from the DVP and Carlaw to Highway 427 and the QEW. This is part of a larger project to renew the Gardiner between Jarvis and Cherry Streets. That will see construction continue until 2021.
It's over 1 kilometer in terms of length between Jarvis and Cherry Street. This phase of the construction will take place right through to early 2021. So unfortunately, the Gardiner will be reduced to 2 lanes in both directions during that period.
That lane reduction on the Gardiner will start Monday, and the TTC is also going to be closing a part of Line 2 this weekend. Subways won't be running between St. George and Woodbine stations on Saturday and Sunday due to track work. Shuttle buses will operate between those stations, and on Thanksgiving Monday, the TTC will be running on a holiday schedule and Go Transit on their Sunday schedule. One man is dead after a collision in Etobicoke this afternoon. It happened near Islington Ave and Van Dusen Boulevard around 4:30. Police say 2 vehicles were involved, and initially they reported the driver in serious condition. He later died from his injuries. The collision reconstruction team is investigating. An emotional roller coaster of a week ends on a high note. A few days ago, a popular Syrian restaurant announced it would close. But after an outpour of support from the community and a helping hand from a business owner, Sufi's opened its doors today. Kelda Yoon was there.
I'm coming in now. Are you open now?
2 years ago, Brooke Lidbrook was the first person through the doors when Sufi's first opened. Today, she's happy to be the first again.
I love it here. It's like my happy place.
For a few days, she and other regulars thought they would have to find a new happy place after the Al Sufi family announced it would close because of hundreds of violent and racist threats.
I was really depressed. I thought, this isn't our community.
Why? Like, where does that come from?
The reason just angered me, and also I'm selfish. The food is really good.
The threats came after the son was identified as one of the protesters at a Maxime Bernier rally in Hamilton. A viral video showed protesters yelling at an elderly couple in attendance.
2 wrongs don't make it a right. So it doesn't matter what happens, no Canadian should receive death threats, and no businesses in Toronto or in Canada should shut down because of hate or intimidation.
Mohamed Faki is the CEO of Paramount Fine Foods. He has stepped in to help the family run the restaurant until they feel safe to return.
Thank you so much. Thank you. They look much better, they're smiling more, and they're feeling the support and the love of the community.
And while the family is still shaken by the threats, they are reminded of the love through this wall, now covered with messages they've received over the past week.
This is really the finale of a true Canadian story. This is a story of a refugee who came and really did well and then got attacked by hate and then got, surrounded by love.
I certainly actually believe very much in people showing love towards newcomers, showing love towards, loving Toronto for its diversity, which is it's wonderful. I love it.
Mohamed Faki says the Al Sufi family would like to lay low for a little while, but he is hopeful that they will be ready to run the restaurant themselves again very soon. He says the family has also reached out to the family of the elderly couple in that viral video, and he says the family is hopeful that there will be a reconciliation over a meal inside the restaurant in the coming weeks. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Nick Sternkovich joins us now for a first look at our forecast, and today really was the perfect cap to the perfect week, and some cities even seen 20 degrees.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Here's a look at the daytime highs that we had today, and temperatures ranging anywhere from 5, 6, 7 degrees above the seasonal mark. So that's a look at daytime highs. Toronto hit 19 degrees. The average for this time of year, about 14 degrees. Now, there is some rain that's moving in through the overnight period tonight. This is along a cold front. It'll move in around 3 a.m. tonight, and it'll taper off by the time we hit the late morning hours tomorrow. Behind it, though, we've got cooler temperatures. It brings us down closer to about seasonal. The good news in this, though, we've got a fair deal of sunshine heading into the long weekend. There's a look at your forecast through the next 24. 11 degrees tonight, rain showers ending by tomorrow morning. High tomorrow of 13 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon and more sunshine to come.
Thanks, Nick.
You bet.
For our ongoing Safer Streets series, CBC Toronto is exploring the riskiest roads and intersections based on viewers' tips. Today, a look at the area around Eglinton West subway station. It's where Allen Road ends at Eglinton, and pedestrians and drivers have trouble seeing each other. City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly went there to find solutions.
As the sun is slowly rising, cars are quickly flowing from Allen Road onto Eglinton Avenue West for the morning rush to work. But safely getting around this busy intersection can be tough for both drivers and pedestrians who are trying to make their way to the subway station that's right in the middle.
A little bit of a concern is, though, the blind spot when people are turning right.
Some people in the rush, well, they go and they don't respect the signals.
It's confusing for the drivers. And because the drivers don't make the move to turn right, the pedestrians are confused too.
This road safety advocate is bracing for the worst.
Pretty much every single time I cross the road, I watch someone nearly get hit.
It happens every single day, every single crossing, sometimes more than once in one crossing.
She says concrete barriers and fencing around a construction pit for the Eglinton Crosstown make it tough for drivers to see around the northwest corner when they're turning right.
The way the crossing is signaled and set up, it's actually designed to be dangerous. It's unpredictable. There are really poor sight lines for drivers. The signaling prioritizes drivers as well, and it really sets things up so that pedestrians are not seen and not safe.
Wood wants to see a longer crossing time for pedestrians or a scramble intersection where people walking can cross from any corner while cars are kept out. She brought her concerns to Metrolinx, the provincial agency behind the Crosstown project. So far, the changes made include road paint and this bollard.
Pedestrians actually will drag the bollard out to the corner so to protect themselves, and the workers move it back.
Josh Matlow, the councillor for the area, says the intersection is downright dangerous.
What I've been calling for is for Metrolinx to provide either off-duty police or wardens to be able to assist with both helping people navigate safely, but also enforcing to make sure that people don't do things that are dumb and could put somebody's life at risk.
Metrolinx told us safety is a priority, and it does try to hire officers for certain issues, but often they're not available. Here in the morning rush, Wood says more needs to be done.
This is really dangerous. Like, this is really an incredible high risk. This is not unique to this intersection. This is a very serious issue in this city.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
It started snowing styrofoam, and the whole neighborhood was wondering what was happening. It's not just a street. Like I said, it's all over.
It's snowing styrofoam in a neighborhood in Weston. We look at the cause and why residents won't be getting much help to clean up the mess. That's still ahead. We're learning more today about party platforms and what they could cost to implement. The Liberals and the Greens published theirs a couple of weeks ago. This afternoon, it was the Conservatives' turn.
This is a fully costed platform with all the numbers.
Conservative leader Andrew Scheer says his plan will balance the budget within 5 years. He says he will pay for his campaign promises by cutting corporate subsidies, reducing foreign aid, and by making the government more efficient. Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is taking jabs at the timing of the release, saying nobody releases their best work on the Friday afternoon before a long weekend. The NDP also released its costed platform this morning. Leader Jagmeet Singh says his fiscal plan is prudent and transparent, but he wouldn't say when the books would be balanced. Green Party leader Elizabeth May is laying out her vision for Canada on the world stage if she becomes Prime Minister. May says with climate change causing an increase in armed conflict in some regions, Canada needs to boost its commitment to peacekeeping. A partial victory in court today for Greenpeace after it took on the Ford government over the scrapping of the cap-and-trade program.
It's a slap on the wrist to this government saying you acted unlawfully. The very first action this government took as a government was illegal. But also for future government, it means they can't come in and say, oh, we had an election, we can now just ram through whatever we want without proper consultation.
In a split decision, an Ontario court ruled the government broke the law when it scrapped cap-and-trade last year. But the court won't force Queen's Park to reinstate the program. Cap-and-trade gave companies incentives to reduce carbon emissions. Greenpeace challenged the cancellation on the grounds the government did not hold public consultations before making the decision. Residents living near Weston and Lawrence were recently confused by what looked like snow falling amid some balmy October temperatures. It was actually plastic pollution piling up on their properties. No one has come to clean it up, and the homeowners are not happy with the city's response. Laura McQuillan went to take a look.
Mike Smith couldn't believe his eyes when he looked out to his yard earlier this week.
It started snowing styrofoam, and the whole neighborhood was wondering what was happening.
An insulation upgrade to an apartment building sent white plastic foam flying. People are finding it blocks away.
So you can see it even in spider webs. It's all over everybody's porches. It's just tucked around everywhere.
There are chunks of styrofoam this big just lying in the streets around here, but it's these tiny little particles that are in yards, gardens, on sidewalks and in gutters that have people in this neighborhood concerned and frustrated. Even as we stand here, pieces are falling from the sky, and it's all coming from this building.
My real concern is that it's all in the streets here. And so if you go down and you look in the gutter, take a shot of the gutter there, all of this is going to wash down and into the storm sewers and out into the lake.
We have all small kids, they're like, dogs are walking in neighborhoods. So we just want to be sure that it's not something that is going to affect to dogs and kids.
One expert told us that styrofoam can take years to break down, all the while leaching chemicals, including one that's been linked to cancer. We called and emailed the building's managers, but we didn't hear back. Mike Smith complained to City Hall.
If you litter, you can get a ticket. If you pollute an entire community on a wide scale, you think there would be some sort of, at least an investigation.
The city told us that its staff met with the property management company and the contractor after Smith's complaint, and they've agreed to use netting to limit the spread of the styrofoam debris and to vacuum the area around the building. But that's little help for the homeowners down the road, whose yards are now full of little styrofoam pieces.
Intentional or not, they've polluted an entire neighborhood. So what's the response there?
Laura McQuillan, CBC News, Toronto.
A lifelong struggle for justice captured in a new exhibit. Coming up, we'll show you a collection paying tribute to Nelson Mandela. A new exhibit looking at the life of Nelson Mandela is now open in Toronto.
It's hopeful and yet disheartening, because when you look on the world stage, because the core theme for me is this man as a leader. To have a leader that was able to convince people that forgiveness and reconciliation was the way to go it's mind-bending. Like when you think of who on the international stage now is even a minute fraction of that type of leadership.
The exhibit includes interactive experiences with audio and visual displays. It also has a tribute to Canada's contributions to South Africa's fight against apartheid. The exhibit will show at the Meridian Arts Centre until January 7th. Nick's back now with our extended forecast, and it doesn't seem like the perfect weather is holding up into tonight, but I'm sure everyone else is wondering about the rest of the long weekend.
Yeah, you know, as long weekends go, it's actually pretty good. It always seems like the bad weather comes right in time for the long weekend. This one, not so bad. It's going to be pretty much seasonal and exactly what you'd expect for this time of year. Now, we talked about the rain heading in tonight. It is going to taper off, though, by late tomorrow morning, and then we've got a mostly sunny weekend in store. Temperatures, though, falling, a little cooler and more seasonal for this time of year. Rain showers ending around 10, 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Then by the time we hit the afternoon, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud. And then taking us all the way into Sunday and even Monday, we've got sunshine across the board. The only thing to watch here is if you're headed north of the city, Sunday, likely seeing some showers across cottage country there. And late on Sunday into Monday, we could see a few spotty showers in Toronto and the Golden Horseshoe as well. But other than that, we've got sunshine carrying us right back through into Monday as well. How much can we expect in terms of the rainfall tonight and into tomorrow? About 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, generally speaking, but most of it falling while we're sleeping. So that's the good news in all of this. Overnight tonight in southwestern Ontario, temperatures in the single digits, 7 degrees as this cold front moves through. As we move through tomorrow afternoon, highs of only about 12 degrees. That is a little bit below seasonal. And again, a few early morning showers for southwestern Ontario. But again, this is more early morning, like around 6 a.m. And then by the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud. Golden Horseshoe, pretty much the same story. The timing just shifts a little bit. So we'll see the rain showers move in as we head through about 3 a.m. tonight. By tomorrow morning, late morning, we've got the showers moving up, mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon, and temperatures round about the seasonal mark at about 13 degrees. Next 5 days looks like this. Clearing skies tomorrow, 13 degrees. Sunday, perfect day, 14 degrees, right on seasonal as well. Cool overnight lows, though, in store. Monday, a little cooler as well, 11 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. Next sign of sort of real rainfall not coming until next Wednesday.
You know what, Nick? For a long weekend in October, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
Thanks for that.
You bet.
Thousands of Latin dancers are in town this weekend. It's the Canada Salsa and Bachata Congress. I'm Lorenda Redekop, and this is Adriano. He's here from Montreal. He's also a world champion. He's one of several Canadians taking over the world of salsa. I'll have more coming up.
Would you like to dance?
Let's try it out.
Thousands of Latin dancers are in town this weekend showing off their salsa skills, including some decorated Canadians. Lorenda Redekop explains.
The footwork, tricks, and spins will be on display all weekend at the competitions for the Canada Salsa and Bachata Congress. This event features a teacher dancing with a student. The teacher here from Montreal is also a world champion for 3 years running.
Look at the Toronto Raptors, look at tennis. I think Canada's taking over in everything, and salsa is just one of those. So
yeah, I think we just really have a hard-working community. People who are really dedicated. Canada in the last few years has just been soaring in dance.
Another type of dance, bachata, also has world champs from Canada. In this case, Winnipeg. Harold Rancano is half of that couple. He immigrated from Cuba 14 years ago.
I moved to Winnipeg. There was only a couple of dancers there, and we started creating a dance community.
I wasn't in dance as a kid, so at 26 I started dancing. Actually, I saw it in France when I was there for a semester at university, and I just fell in love. We just worked our butts off. We were in the studio all the time.
It's the 17th year in a row for this event, held at the Royal York Hotel and open to the public. The founder says dance schools and teams are popping up in smaller cities and at universities.
We've just seen some amazing Canadian talent, and they're really taking the world by storm. When I first started going to salsa congresses in Puerto Rico in 1999, we didn't know there was other dancers in Canada. We just knew who was in your city. You didn't have access to them. You couldn't Google them or YouTube them and see what they were doing.
Workshops are going on all day Saturday and Sunday. Some of the top dancers are among the instructors, so people will have the chance to learn from a world champion. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Before we go, we want to wish a very happy birthday to a special resident of this city. Hudson is 8 years old today. He's the first hand-raised polar bear at the Toronto Zoo. At birth, he weighed only 700 grams. Zoo staff cared for him around the clock after he was rejected by his mother. Hudson grew stronger and furrier. He made his public debut in 2012. And today, the polar bear weighs more than 1,000 pounds, according to the zoo, and spends his days swimming and playing with his brother, Humphrey. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.